Curious about how blockchain can revolutionize industries beyond cryptocurrency? In today's episode, we explore groundbreaking use cases and dive deep into why this tech is more than just the hype. If you've ever wondered how blockchain can be used for more than just digital coins and cryptocurrencies, and you're ready to see real-world applications, the episode is for you. We bring insights from experts who have been in the blockchain space since day one, breaking down complex concepts into actionable ideas. Our guest today has helped some of the most innovative blockchain solutions empowering industries from finance to healthcare.
So today, we're going to talk about more to do with the blockchain and the use cases and what's the real purpose, but what are the use cases that really the blockchain can be used. And still, this technology is still quite new and we're still trying to work it out how best we can use and the use cases, right? So for this awesome episode, we have invited Roberto, and Roberto going to accomplished author, right? So why we have Roberto is we're going to talk about the technology here. That's because once you understand the technology, why we can use it, then there are the builders who can really think of how that they can use the technology. And with the help of technologies, we can look at like how or where best to use the blockchain when it comes to something productive, rather than we always say it's like, look, a doorbell works, you don't need the blockchain, but no point of putting a blockchain to a doorbell. So that's the type of conversation that we're going to have here. So Roberto, I'm going to pass the mic to you so you can give a little about who you are and what you have done to our community. Off to you.
Okay. Hello, everybody, and thank you for having me in your show. My name is Roberto Capodieci. I am Italian. I've been living around the world between Europe, United States, now in Southeast Asia. And I've been into IT since I was a little kid, and I did several things. I'm into decentralization since before blockchain. When Bittorrent came out as a protocol, I was interested in this peer-to-peer network. It is a sort of animal that cannot be killed and is always alive. So I was looking and studying the protocol, and this is what brought me into blockchain from day zero without even knowing. Somebody passed me the first code of the node of Bitcoin to run. I formatted in a drive with 300 Bitcoin inside because I did 6 blocks at the early days when it was 50 Bitcoin per block, because it didn't make sense to what I was searching, was looking to do a decentralized file system to run in a peer-to-peer network. But nonetheless, I've been into this new thing that was anyway interesting. And I've been part of the development of layer 1 blockchain. There was proof of stake in 2013-14. So before it was a thing like now with Ethereum. And I started writing white paper for the use of blockchain for use cases that are now related to cryptocurrencies. For two reasons, because the financial industry is very regulated. So it will be very difficult to come out with a product that can actually be adopted. And at the same time, because it was very clear for me from day one that the blockchain use case of a cryptocurrency was just the tip of the iceberg of things that it can actually do. There are a lot of very interesting other use cases that should be implemented and applied. So that's a little bit what I've been doing in the past decade plus.
Awesome. That's great, Roberto. So you touched base a little bit about torrents. And I would say that's the first time that I really heard about peer-to-peer is when Napster and then the LimeWare and no, sorry, not LimeWare. Was that Lime? What's the software? I can't remember. They said like, after Napster. Yeah, after Napster, right? So LimeWire, actually, yes. So using this technology, like how do they just download? Because it's like only bits and pieces. You come from all these different nodes, right? So you mentioned that you're part of that from that era. So what did you do in that peer-to-peer? How do you understand what peer-to-peer is at that early stages with the Pirate Bay and all that's happening going on at the same time?
So I wasn't into the piracy aspect of things. to me, it was shocking that first of all, the fact that before with Napster and friends, the law enforcement, the government can go to the guy managing the server and shut down everything. And as soon as Bittorrent came out, the regulator had to change the law, no more forbidding to distribute, but forbidding to consume, because there was no such central point to go and kill the network. And this is what was fascinating about the peer-to-peer system, right? The
Yep.
fact that and second things, I was shocked that the movie and music industry had available such a huge network for which they can sell their content in the most remote area, small remote village of forgotten country, without having to ship a box full of CDs or
CDs and DVDs.
and
Yeah.
DVDs. They will arrive there broken, lost, stolen, lost, and they
Yeah.
just didn't understand the power
Mm.
that the technology had. Because if they were intelligent, they would have create a way to monetize it, give a way to people to download the app, but also pay, and they would that took over the
Mm.
mechanics that was there. In fact, many people was using the system not to not pay something they could buy at the shop next door, but simply because there was no other way to arrive at the content that there was not available around. So the fear always put people in looking something that they don't know, I don't understand, as is a bad thing, like
Yeah.
an alien, a shape strange, must be bad, and when Bitcoin came out, there has been a similar reaction on some countries, some central banks, but others are saying, hey, probably if we invest into the technology, we start controlling it. And in
Mm.
fact, a lot of government, central bank says, okay, Bitcoin is bad, blockchain is good. Let's do invest and start taking over, and the technology, and they did so. And I had the opportunity at the time to do a lot of proof of concept with large financial institution to do several things. I was pushing always for things that were not financially related, meaning in the financial world, there is a lot of paperwork, documentation flows that can be managed with the blockchain that doesn't have money value in terms of being regulated under that aspect. And I did a lot of very interesting projects. I have to say that
Mm.
the characteristic of blockchain, which I'm going to be happy to
Yeah.
point out by my experience, which are the value one, are very useful in the world of industry in general, or large institutions.
Of course. Of course. So, Roberto, you one of the things, one of our calls previously, one of the things that impressed me was that you are not just someone who just developed. You had care that you want to put some of this information, that knowledge out, right? So, because based on that one, you published a book. Can you tell us a little bit about what that book, how did you get to it, and what was the reason behind publishing that book?
Okay, there are two books. One I co-authored in 2015-16 was about the first proof of stake implementation, and the second 2019-2021, this period being written, which is the fact that, and this goes a little bit technical, but the level of security of blockchain, so the protocol that keep a blockchain safe, is most of blockchain have it based on the value of their currency, meaning what they protect is the financial aspect of so the cryptocurrency. If you start using blockchain for use cases that are not related to cryptocurrency, let's say a consortium of hospital want to manage medical records, something that doesn't have an immediate financial value, the security system to protect this proof of work, or rather than fails completely, because it will become very easy to create an attack. So there are a lot of interesting aspects when the value managed by the blockchain is external to the blockchain itself,
Yeah.
that the proof of whatever to secure the blockchain is not good. So it was about time to come out with a different method to secure data on a blockchain. There was the couple from the token of the cryptocurrency, and this is the basis of this book that analyze all the different methods, and then propose one new method that I financially paid for implementing to prove that was not just an idea, but it actually works, and it does. So that's an interesting aspect.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, you brought up, like, a couple of good points about the consensus mechanism. I think we're gonna dive a little bit deeper into the consensus mechanisms a little bit down the line. So with this book, how long did it take you to write this book? Because it's not something that, you know, I find it like, you know what, I can't believe when people write books. You know, I've been told that you go to a, like, bit of a sanctuary or wherever, and, you know, in front of the, on the beach, you know.
No, actually, it's been interesting because this book grew together with the implementation of the system.
I
So
see.
some stuff
Okay.
has been written when we had no clear idea how to solve a lot of the obstacle that we had in front of us.
Yes.
Is co-authored. There is another author. There is an American guy, which actually is English better than mine. This is pre-ChatGPT, so we couldn't just ask ChatGPT to write the book for us. So he came out with a lot of need to go back and fix what was not really clarified at the beginning. So it's an interesting book. He also narrated a little bit the story of the team, so there is a little bit of a human side of it.
Yes.
Plus, is full of QR code inside the book. So almost every other paragraph has a QR code. And if you
Okay.
scan it, you go to a website where you can hear audio commentary. You
Yeah.
can discuss this specific topic with other people. So is interactive if you want. The is fun. So that's another side of the book that is not it should act as a point of meetup of people interested in the topic.
No, that's great, Roberto, because I think sometimes books, when you write a book, right, you can just, once you write the book, the content becomes stale like very fast, especially in this sector, right? So when you look at, like, when you look at the book now, is there anything that you think like, oh my God, I should come up with the edition 2 or edition 3, or how that having the QR code, does it help?
But the QR code help people to discuss on what is written there to
Mhm.
prove ideas wrong or right. But I think that this book is still super actual because yet there is no been this step ahead in the
Mhm.
evolution of technology of blockchain. There has been interesting middle steps, some
Yeah.
other interesting one, but not such a thing that make this huge step ahead. So it is still very valid and actual. I suggest somebody want to come out with a new layer one, give it a read. Maybe can offer inspiration or call me up. I'm happy to discuss. The book is for free. I mean,
Yeah.
somebody want to buy the printed edition in Amazon, pay the the printing cost. But
Yes.
if they want to download the PDF, is free. It's 260 pages. Circa.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. So, Roberto, I just want to discuss about, like, okay, when you started, right? What was the, you mentioned about, the Bitcoin and peer-to-peer networks. So when was the, what was it like setting up your machine, for example, for Bitcoin? Where do you find the information, or how was that journey just started, like day one? What was it like?
But the one in IT, it goes many years before the one in blockchain.
Yes,
It's, I mean,
blockchain.
honestly, at the time the hashing power was zero. So the 6 block that I did
Yes.
them in a notebook, a small computer, but not even powerful one.
Yeah.
I in dial-up because it wasn't even connected to the internet with fiber optic. It was dial-up in a small rented boardroom here in Bali, and
Yes.
it took 3 days to do 6 blocks. So 3 days
Yeah.
of phone connection in dial-up. Very simple. Install the software. It was a Linux version of the
Mhm.
node and
Yeah.
connected. And I was looking at what was interesting about this thing. I honestly, it was not what I needed. I needed something else completely different. But
Yes.
that's what made me stumble upon this interesting technology, which eventually I embraced and and I use for a lot of different. You have no idea of the different use cases that we applied the blockchain for. Is
Oh, I
interesting.
can't. I can't wait to get to it. I can't wait to get there. I think that's what I think use cases are the ones that are going to really discussing of use cases. I think that's going to open up a lot more other avenues for people to start thinking, okay, I like, okay, what if I put this on this and this one together, and a lot more, because I think people still, we get asked, okay, what is blockchain? How can it be used? So from your perspective, Roberto, what is a blockchain?
But that's a very good question because this is very ambiguous. So I lectured
Yes.
at the university in Singapore about blockchain consensus mechanics, and to explain blockchain, we build up a blockchain to play tic-tac-toe or to play chess.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the fact that the blockchain is a system for people to submit instruction to an application central that in the most cases for cryptocurrency is a ledger, but doesn't have to be a ledger. It can be a
Mm-hmm.
remote card that is controlled by many people. I don't know, it can be anything. In this
Yes.
case, will be the game of chess, for example. No? And this application is going to accept your transaction if it's legitimate, or bounce it if it's not, and act based upon your transaction. So there are use cases where you need to have all the history of transaction until the moment. Other use cases where you just keep the last version of things. The fact that they are broadcasted in a network doesn't stop somebody to collect them, the
Yeah.
transaction, but the fact that they are needed is not the case. So an immutable ledger to me is the wrong definition for
Mm-hmm.
blockchain, because that is a one particular implementation of blockchain. For example, in Bitcoin, to know the balance of an account, you need to go back from the beginning and do all the plus and minus in order to know the current balance. In others, is just an updated field with the current balance. And
Yeah.
to know how you arrive there, you need to have a particular node that collected all the transactions. So some people, when you cannot do a rollback anymore, means that in the case of a
Yes.
fork, there is a certain amount of block that you can rewind the blockchain to adjust it to the current state. Once you keep in memory that amount, a little bit more, just in case of emergency, you don't need anymore all the history. So even the
Yeah.
fact that there is a huge amount of space that need to be used, not true, depends on the implementation that you do. That's one thing
Mm.
is in the book, for example, that is well analyzed with the proposed solution, which work because we implemented also the software and work. You don't need to keep everything. You need to keep a trail from the genesis moment, which
Yeah.
is cryptographic, to the closest moment to the present. And with the cryptographic trail, you can verify the quality of the data that there are now, but don't have to save everything, right? So
Yeah.
there are a lot of interesting aspects, because consider the blockchain is not born to an end of being a blockchain. It's born just to solve a problem for Bitcoin, and it was shaped to do that properly.
Are you looking to integrate your business systems with cutting-edge AI technology? Our expert team is here to help you use the power of AI to innovate, streamline, and enhance your current business operations. Contact us today at 1-800-870-200 or visit blockstars.com.au.
But proof of work, for example, is likely to look at this old locomotive that go with charcoal and make a lot of smoke. It's not. There is a religion. People that I might believe don't understand technically the depth of what it means are defending proof of work because spending money for electricity give value to the Bitcoin. I don't know if that's really the case, but it's because it's the only secure system, which is absolutely not, because double spending in proof of work are very easy to do if you're not Bitcoin. Others says, but there shouldn't be anything else except Bitcoin. That's okay. Then I understand that you're not, objective on the technology, but
Yes.
is more a faith on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
there is a need of a lot of evolution, I think.
yeah. So you just mentioned proof of work,
Mhm.
right? So this thing called consensus mechanisms. However, the blockchain. So different blockchains come up with different consensus mechanisms. So when you say like proof of work, what we are doing is here we are saying, okay, like people say, okay, what is mining? Right? People ask me like,
All
oh,
right.
of course, what is mining, right? So I was like, okay, no, it's a puzzle that you solve, and then you get rewarded. Like, oh, who rewards me? I mean, people want to get to the bottom of it. So how would
Okay.
you explain
So
what is
first of all,
mining?
uh, I would separate the concept of the proof, okay, with the consensus.
Yeah.
They're two different things. People put them together. I don't know why. So consensus is something that is important and basic on a peer-to-peer network, okay? And explain you why. If we are 10 friends and we want to decide where we're going to go to dinner tonight, we sit around the table, Chinese, no, Mexican, no, we go to the Indian place there, whatever. We come to consensus and we go to the restaurant all together so that somebody doesn't end up in the wrong restaurant, okay?
Yes.
Maybe miss part of the communication and end up somewhere else, which is a problem of, talking in many people together. The node of a peer-to-peer network, they cannot sit together at the table and decide.
Yes.
So the consensus word is a little bit misleading because they don't achieve consensus. The consensus concept is the fact that there is a piece of software inside, which is the protocol, that should guarantee that all the nodes in front of a decision take the same decision.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say all the nodes are in their motorcycle going toward the restaurant, each independently without talking to each other. There is a junction, and they all know they're going to turn right at the junction because there is a statue. Because means in the protocol is written, when you're in front of a junction, if there is a statue, turn right. So nobody get lost because they all take the same decision. And this is the consensus, and is the protocol, is the place where the rules of the blockchain are written. And the blockchain has two basic rules, categories, if you want.
Yes.
One is the quality of the transaction that is sent in terms of signature. So you do a cryptographic signature, submit this in the peer-to-peer network, every node receive and validate the signature. So the signature is valid. So this account is signed properly. Now, second category, let's see what is asking. He's asking to send 1,000 Bitcoin to another account. Wait a moment, does he have 1,000 Bitcoin? No. So even though the signature is correct, the request is not valid. So you have two layers. One, validated that the request comes from a legitimate source and is legitimately signed.
Yeah.
And then does it fit with the rule of the game? I play chess and I say, move the horse from here to the other side. No, you cannot. The rule of the game says the horse can only move there, and if there is a place that is taken, you cannot move, bounce your request, okay? So you know that if you have an image of the chessboard where everybody is playing chess in each of the node, once the player submit the request for the transaction, all the nodes are going to have an updated chess table that match because they all have the same rule set, okay? Now, then if we want to talk about forks, is a lot all another discussion, but this is the consensus, okay? Another thing is the proof of whatever, which is the security level of the blockchain. Consensus is also part of this aspect because the proof is a method to lock two blocks of data. It's called blockchain because it's a chain of blocks of data, okay? These blocks of data are attached one with the other with a particular rule, okay? They can be one of many, okay?
Yes.
And consensus says if there are two new blocks proposed at the same time by two different nodes, which can happen very well, which one you choose, okay? I choose the one that looks better because blah, 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 okay? Now, so this is the only part of consensus that is important in the proof. Now, the proof is what chain the two blocks together. In proof of work is a simple creation of an hash. Now, hash is a function of cryptography where you create a unique number from a unique source of data. So you can be a movie, a book, a PDF file, a picture, whatever. You can create this string is always the same length, but the change in the content, the string change.
Yeah.
So proof of work says to be valid, you need to have a certain amount of zero at the beginning of the string, okay? Which is the difficulty, what is called difficulty in proof of work. If there are two new blocks, you choose the one that created the hash with more zeros. So in front of two blocks, here somebody create more zero. Because to create more zero, you need to do more work.
More work.
Because
like
it's
computational work.
It's a trial and error.
Yeah.
So take the source, the last block. Okay. To create a new block, you need to create an hash. So you need to add a little bit of dirt, which is called nonce. in the previous block, so that the new hash start with enough zero to be valid. As soon as you get it, boom, you propose in the network, people say, it's yours. The protocol says that the first that suggests a new block get some Bitcoin. Okay, so the protocol give it, not the proof of, is the rules of the game that says that you get them. Okay, so which can be changed if you would need to change them, but the security is given by these zeros. Now, if there is a huge amount of people that try to create this and there is difficulties very high, because there is a new block every 10 minutes, one of the rules of the consensus is somebody is offering a new chunk of blockchain, not just the last block, but the last 3-4 blocks, okay, with better chains. So with these hashes with more zero in total, throw away the ones that you had and take this because it's a more secure, potentially, chain. Now, Bitcoin has a lot of people with a lot of machine that does a lot of work. So to become better than them and faster than them in reproducing a last piece of blockchain, it takes a lot of money. So it's not impossible, given that the hardware is available, okay? It's just more expensive. So if I can steal 1 million and it costs me 2 million, probably doesn't make sense.
It's not going to make any sense,
That's why I'm saying the security is based on the value of the coin. It's not based on, like a software that is secure, okay, which is different. Now, when Ethereum split and we had the Ethereum Classic, that was the actual original Ethereum, if you want to say, because without the rollback that has been done for the DAO. Anyway, very few people put hashing power in the Ethereum Classic. So has been double spent a lot of time. How? I can explain it very easily. I buy, let's say I am the criminal in question, okay, that does this double spending, which is also opinable if it's criminal, because if the code allow me to do that, means I just follow the code, but that's another thing. I buy $1 million in Ethereum Classic, okay? I go in exchanges and I exchange those for Bitcoin and I withdraw the Bitcoin. Then I rent online hashing power and I rebuild the last block, the last part of the blockchain faster than the people is building it, because I rent more hashing power than the one that is in the blockchain. I redesign the blockchain with the same transaction, except the one where I'm depositing the money in the exchange. So you got all the node that they say, oh, this is better piece of blockchain, so let me throw away mine. I take this, suddenly the exchange never received the Ethereum Classic from me, and I have $1 million in Ethereum Classic because they remain with me, and $1 million of Bitcoin that I withdraw from the exchanges, which shows, and this has been done, so it's not just fantasy, this has been done a few times. This shows that the proof of work independently as a technology is not safe, okay, to do what is done. I think that Satoshi Nakamoto, which in my opinion is Adam Beck, but can be whoever it is.
Who knows, right?
Who knows, right? And better like this. Never thought that people would split the problem among multiple computers. He was thinking that each computer would do all the tests, so hashing power would never go up. But there's a flaw in understanding the protocol himself, right? So that's what it is. That's why proof of work cannot be used. Can you imagine if you use proof of work for a blockchain to manage medical records? People take Ethereum, or even worse, if you use it for managing NFT that represent ownership of real estate. So you suddenly have a small blockchain made by some startup, which is a clone of Ethereum, older in proof of work. Hashing power for this is pretty much zero, because there will be a few nodes and a few people hashing on the new blocks. But one NFT can be worth $1 billion because it's a piece of real estate. So in this point, I can transfer to you the ownership represented by NFT. You pay me the money, and then I rewrite the blockchain, so I still have the ownership of the NFT as well. So it is not the way to go. It's
not,
And people don't understand this. People are more, no, proof of work is, no, proof of work is not, And proof of stake, in theory, can be attacked. I never found an actual attack done, because it will require you to own most of the crypto of the token that there is in circulation, but is also susceptible of attack when there is no more value on the token itself.
Yeah.
So there is the need of something else eventually, right?
Yeah. Good. I mean, like that's a really good rundown of like how couple of those the consensus, the different consensus and the proof, the separation of that. So that's great. Thank you so much for um, clarifying that, because I would say even myself, I would I was putting the consensus and the proof together, like, oh, it's a together. But now I think by hearing you, yeah, of course, consensus is like little bit different from the proof, you know. So when it comes to proofs, as you said, you got the proof of work to showcase. Okay, look, it cost computing power to create this proof, and then you got the proof of history, proof of stake, proof of all these proofs, right? And they're like tied up with the sort of a mathematical like cryptography.
Look, I do lessons on this. Okay, I have
Yes.
nice slides that I can share. So there are two main category of proof of. Okay, so those that use internal values to decide if the validity of something is okay or not, which to me are safer, and those that use external value. Proof of work use miners which are external to the blockchain.
External.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I can suddenly come out with the big hashing power. There is no anything from the history of the blockchain that tell me not to. Okay, proof of space or storage. Also, I add a huge amount of hard drives. Suddenly, I have much more power in terms of. But those that are internal, like proof of stake, require to see how much stake you have on as account in the blockchain. So you need to have an history in the blockchain that allow you to be more valuable in deciding in securing the blocks. So the validity of whatever is an hash or a result of a string, whatever has to be the connect the two blocks, can be validated by looking back into the history of the blockchain. So to my choice, this is the best one. Less electricity consumption, more green. You can run it with a small solar panel and a Raspberry Pi, because you really don't need all the power that is required, and is more secure in terms of you need to work a long time. So let's say that the protocol is flawed a little bit. Protocol is not studied well, because that's where the security is. So the study of the protocol. So the protocol is not very well taught. Maybe you can play it in order to have an advantage in being the authority party that says this block is good or not. So this is the most important part, how the protocol is written on the consensus side, to know that the work done to connect to block is correct.
Yeah. So when it comes to use cases, I will just talk about use cases, and I believe. Do I believe? I think I have a lot more. I don't know. I'm on the camp to a camp. I'm on the side to say like, okay, look, there'll be specific blockchains for specific use cases, like whether it's for cryptocurrency, you'll have a different type of blockchain. For NFTs, maybe different, because the different use cases, like it's almost like not like one single blockchain to rule them all. um what is your take on it? Like what do you think? Do you have like there'll be like one blockchain can achieve all the use cases, or do you see different types of blockchain to achieve different types of use cases?
All right, if you want to maintain decentralization, there must be a standard, a compatibility. There must be something decided to be compatible between, even if there are different blockchains. My analogy is when they invented the phone. Every city start implementing the phone network and have different electricity voltage, different things. So really, one city to the other were really different. That's why you needed to go through the operator that will plug the two things to connect the audio one to the other, because it wasn't just a matter of bringing cable between the two cities, because really the system was different. Eventually, standards are winning. So every city updated their system to one that is compatible with everybody else, and you get rid of the operator, and you can directly call the other the other city because the system understand each other, talk to each other. Now, I think that it's not a matter of technology, as in many other things. Think about the email. We still send and receive email. Email is one of the ugliest protocol in the world. The content is unclear, is not encrypted, can be spoofed so easily.
Yeah.
And yet we still use it. Just because it's difficult to tell all the mail server in the world to update to a new version, okay? And there is no Mr. Fernandez email that has an interest directly to do this thing. And eventually, for example, Bitcoin, to be honest, except a few tech people like us, in the rest of the world, they don't even know proof of work.
Yes, they don't really care,
If tomorrow Bitcoin shifted to another method of securing the blockchain and is valid, people will make zero difference in their life, because the brand is what is strong, the brand of Bitcoin, not the technology used underneath. Okay. So I do believe that what is going to stack are the brands, not much the technologies. Okay. What is going to change underneath are going eventually update needed in order to keep compatibility between the party, like the phone networks, until they all talk together and seamless. I can move token or items or whatever from a place to another.
Yeah. So when you mentioned about the technology, and a couple of times you said the word centralization, right? So there are two types. You got the decentralization and the centralization, right? And also the word. So if you're going to discuss, can you just talk about that one, the decentralization versus centralization? Because I think that will be good, because people say like, okay, why do you need a blockchain if it's centralized? Not the people who just say it, but in the technical space, in the tech space, we say like, okay, if it's centralized, what's the point of using a blockchain? What is your take on that?
All right. First of all, blockchain is one of the systems to decentralize. Okay, so we are closer to a peer-to-peer network as a method to decentralize, but also peer-to-peer network is one of the kind of network that are decentralized. So there are different kind of network, federated network or not. Email, just to go to an example we just did before, okay, is a network of mail servers. Okay, at the beginning of the email, every office had their own mail server in their own office.
That's right.
Okay,
exactly.
And so when you send an email, you send it from your computer to the mail server of your office. From the mail server to your office, this email goes straight to the mail server of the office of the person you're writing the email to. Okay.
Yeah.
Today, 99% of the mail of the world are in the hand of a few companies. Gmail by Google, Outlook by Microsoft, Yahoo by Yahoo. Okay. And pretty much it is 4 or 5 companies, Proton for those that are more paranoid, but those companies manage all the mail of the planet. And we don't understand what this means, because all the content of the mail we're sending isn't clear. So these people read, can modify if they want the content, which is a classic crime that was done in the past. Emails that says that this is the invoice, this is the bank number for the payment. We're changing the bank number, so the mail is legit, but the payment goes to the criminal. Now, this is a good example for what decentralization is important. Some people says we need to re-decentralize. Okay. For example, another thing, websites. At the beginning, people were installing the website in their own computer and leaving the computer on at home. All right. IP address were fixed. And the DNS, there was no such thing like .com. In fact, if to get to my computer with my website, you just go Capodieci and it was there, because I didn't need to. I registered Capodieci in the name servers that was shared. Okay. Now, name server becomes centralized because, it become a business of billions of dollars. And hosting is also done by a few companies that they host everything, which means that they can shut down your website in a second if somebody doesn't agree, or if the government comes. So this is the difference of centralized, decentralized. cryptocurrency shows the fact that I can transfer from me to you without the financial institution in the middle, some value, okay, and so on and so forth. So the decentralization is the removal of a man in the middle, okay, from action that happen between two parties or multiple parties, okay.
Yeah.
If they in moving to use cases for blockchain, the supply chain, for example, coffee supply chain from the field where the farmer cultivate the coffee to the bar where you're drinking the coffee in the cup, there are many industries in the middle, okay.
Yeah.
The farmer, the truck that bring the torrefication and the packaging, the roast,
Yeah.
you know. If all these people decide for one reason to work together to have a common database to see the transaction, to understand if somebody is cheating the others, etc., they needed to call a company and do a legal framework with this company. With this company, there is none of them, need to be trusted, and he collects data from everybody, right?
Yes.
Now, and this company can be corrupted, can have interest with the political party in a country and cheat the number, whatever, or maybe honest as well. You don't know. That's the point.
Yes.
With blockchain, all these parties can work together without the need to trust a third party, and with the ability to verify themselves cryptographically all the data they're collected through the supply chain, which is a better mechanics, I think, than having to trust a third party,
Yes.
which is their closest Saturday night. If you want to do, something in a moment, you need to really follow their, their work hours, and etc., etc. So decentralizing meaning removing this middleman, removing this third party.
Yeah.
So if I decentralize my website, there is no hosting company in between. You can visit and you directly visit my website, which is in a decentralized storage, and so on and so forth. So these are the actions that decentralization brings, which brings more security and quality of data, but also more responsibility, because you cannot call the bank and say, hey, I made a mistake, I made this and block the transfer.
Yes.
No, once you send the Bitcoin to the wrong address, they're gone.
Yeah, exactly, right. I think with the there are places that you can decentralize that, like, I don't know, the what do you call, a vending machine type of things. But then there are things that you need centralization, but you need some sort of a proof that says, okay, look, I did this, but there should be a way of like turning back. For example, like when you come to like
No, but
real estate, how would that work in a decent, how would something like that would work?
Consider that where there are multiple parties working together on something, you can remove the man in the middle, okay? If my car, the title of my car is represented by an NFT, and this is accepted, means if the police stop me, either they ask me the document, they scan a QR code, and they can see that it's mine, okay?
Yeah.
Now, if I want to sell the car to you or transfer the ownership of the car to you, I transfer the NFT to you, and now the car is yours, okay?
Yeah.
By a common agreement. Why do we need to have government costs on something? The rule done for this transfer. Let's say I go to a pawn shop and I give my car as a pawn, the title of my car as a pawn in order to borrow money or something like this. Then I try to sell the car to you. The blockchain need to have rules that says, sorry, you cannot sell, or if you want to buy, that you need to owe this money to the pawn shop. Is how the rules are programmed that they can avoid any sort of trouble. But if they're done well and they can be upgraded if needed, the removal of the man in the middle, the removal of a party that has authority that can be abused, I had myself a situation where I go to a government office in Italy itself, and I enter it, tell me come back in a week to get the results. In a week I cannot try, and they do it immediately for me. So why you ask me to come back in a week if you can do it now? There is no because they abuse their power and they want to feel important. No, sorry. I go through the blockchain. It's mathematics. Nobody cheats. So it is important. If you want, I can explain in 5 minutes, in my experience, what are
Yes,
the power of the blockchain, the advantage
yes,
on the
please.
blockchain, because
Of
this is
course.
important to be understood in order to understand
100%.
why all the rest of the thing, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Also, to start with, I think the blockchain has an amazing power of giving singularity to digital things. So now, when we are in the information age now, right after the industrial age, we're in the information
Yeah.
age, and information start becoming digital. So whatever was printed is bit and bytes now. In the past, if I have a vinyl disc, I give it to you, I don't have it anymore. They cannot even copy it because
Yeah.
then the cassette, but the copy is never good as the original. It's always degraded. But when I have
Yes.
an MP3, if I make 10 copies, I'm gonna have 11 exact identical files, and we lose the value of an original, okay, which is very important in many aspects. So blockchain allow me to say this is one and the original digital item. In fact, I cannot copy and paste a Bitcoin and give it to you, because if I could do that, Bitcoin will be worth zero tomorrow, right?
Yes.
In the moment that I give it to you, I don't have it anymore.
Yeah.
But Bitcoin is a token fungible, right? The particular monkey JPEG like this, I can give it to you, I don't have it anymore. Sorry. So the fact that to have
Are you planning to launch a blockchain project? At Blockstars, we specialize in developing blockchain projects from your initial idea to the final product. To launch your successful blockchain project, drop us an email to hello@blockstars.com.au.
something digital that can be given, whose property can be precisely defined, is key. Second, you have digital identities. So what is an account? A wallet can represent an identity, even if it is an anonymous identity, but you can go back and see that is the same they did other things. Because we can sign pieces of text, images, whatever, we can guarantee that that's the same identity. So if there is a party that verifies, says, okay, I know this wallet ID is Roberto Capodieci, finish, okay?
Yes.
Tomorrow, I come to a podcast like this, maybe it's not me, it's artificial intelligence creating a deep fake of me. I never authorized for this interview. Probably
Yes.
if I could cryptographically sign and underneath people can see a QR code of me saying, this is me, is actually original,
Yes.
it can guarantee the identity that can be verified inside other things. One example I give, I go to the gym. The gym want a medical certificate of my good health in order to go there.
Yeah.
Many people go home, takes the friend ones, take Photoshop, change their own because they couldn't have one from the doctor. But
Yes.
if we work in the blockchain, the doctor can sign a digital document, which is also encrypted, that says, I am in good health. I go to the gym, I give them the address of the certificate signed in original with an identity that the government guarantees a doctor, okay? And they can verify it. And I can do this seamlessly. So this is a very, very important other aspect on the blockchain.
Yeah. I guess.
Third, because, sorry, and I finish, because
Yeah.
the,
Yeah. Go ahead.
the, the doctor sign it in a certain block. They can also see that this signature didn't happen 3 years ago. It happened 1 week ago. And this
Yes.
is also guaranteed by the blockchain because the block are chain and attached to a timestamp. So you can say when something happened in time doesn't exist now. If I have an accident, I do X-ray and I go to the hospital, they purchase from a private company, the man in the middle, a timestamp to be put in my X-rays, okay, which costs, and this is a third-party guarantee that is true. But if there is a corrupted person inside, they can,
They can.
change the truth. So the blockchain can also guarantee you, not to the millisecond, but to a lag of 5 minutes or whatever you want, the truth about time when event happens. So there is a lot of powerful things that can be used for many different use cases.
Yeah. I guess here, not I guess, definitely said, we said quite a few times here about that. It's almost like you're not sort of like removing the trust, but the trust comes with almost like verifiability. You can't remove the trust. Trust is still there, but you're trusting on the process now, really, by
Well,
verifying that.
yeah, correct. Exactly. I mean, we live in a world where we need to trust. When you're
Mm,
driving your car, you're trusting every other driver not to just come and hit you. Or when you cross a bridge, you trust it to the architect that built the bridge that is not going to
yeah,
collapse, right? So we're basically living in a point of trust. The third party is a closed party that you need to just trust, faith,
yeah,
like the one that people have in religions. But a piece of code can be, if you have the expertise, analyzed, and at least you see maybe I cannot do the analysis of a code myself, but many other people did it. So probably if something was wrong, it would have come out until.
yes. So, Roberto, just now I would like to talk about like pretty much the, say for example, now we spoke about few of the use cases, but we can go on for like hours, right? Because there are so many things that I haven't really, we didn't get a chance to like really go deep. And because I would love to catch up with you, like really just to make a podcast just on use cases like real
Absolutely.
estate, medical, you know what I mean? And I just want to talk about again, like sort of the other part I want to talk about is like going a little bit about centralization and decentralization, right? Now, we talk about the blockchain being transparent. You can see what's happening on the blockchain. You can see, like, ah, yeah, this person did this person did that. But what if our bank accounts are on a blockchain in the future, right? And what if people are like, oh my God, if everything is public, I can see exactly, or they say like, oh, people can see what I got in my account. I don't want that to happen, right?
Mhm.
What is that thing looks like? It's like there are things like called like zero knowledge proofs and
There's
things like
another.
that. But how, from your perspective, how do you see this would be implemented in a more like a digital currency manner, in a decentralized or centralized version?
Now, those are small technical details. So I can tell you
Yes.
there are ways to keep a privacy on funds.
Good.
Uh, okay, there are
Yeah.
ways to recollect. It's all a matter of behavior. Okay,
Mm.
so leaving a trail that allow people to track it back to you. Say I publish my address in my website. And people deposit there. Obviously, those are money that come from me. Then I suddenly
Yeah.
split in many other accounts. You can track it there. But there are things, for example, that allow you to create a new address for each transaction that you do. And until you move the funds in a place that can link the transfer to a person, those are not trackable,
Mm.
So because you cannot connect. So with a seed, with a single seed, those are 12, 24 words that people use to create accounts. You create unlimited accounts. So every time somebody is giving you some money, just give a different account. Never mix them together, because that it will bring that it belongs to the same person, and use them just to transfer to another person. This is the basic things with current tools and system. But if tomorrow there is for example, one big issue with the central bank digital currencies is the one to keep them anonymous, because you don't want to see who hold them, right? And there was a project very interesting. Some blockchains still use it. It's called crypto notes. So rather than being funds that are sent to you, is the authorization to move crypto banknotes. Okay,
Mm.
so you need to actually give the change with the correct banknotes, and each banknote is a separate item, because theoretically people cannot track who sent the transaction in the peer-to-peer network. That's another aspect of decentralization I'd like to touch in a second, because
Yes.
how we use blockchain today is absolutely not decentralized. But in theory, I can move banknotes of no, actually the banknotes doesn't move who is authorized to shift the banknote in a certain way. It's like if you have an NFT of $100 and an NFT of $50, and you just transfer those NFTs, not NFTs, but you transfer the control on the NFT, and this
Yeah.
can keep a little bit of anonymity on whose wallet has all the keys to move those cash. But those were old projects. But if there was innovation adequate, is not a complicated way to keep those things, those processes more anonymous. Now, about the thing, how people operate blockchain is a very interesting aspect, because if you think the blockchain of Bitcoin, as many other, there is no way to request the balance of an account to the blockchain. The balance of an account, you know it only if you're running a node at home.
Yeah.
And then you can see the balance of an account without, else you go to a middleman. It has services like Infura and others that provide you a balance of an account. And at that point, the request is very much, they know who asked this thing, okay? As much as to broadcast a transaction to the network, you use a wallet on your cell phone. It's not this wallet, it's not programmed to connect directly with the peer-to-peer network. The request goes to a central server, and that the central server broadcasts in the network, which means, one more time, they know exactly who did the transaction. So it is architecturally not decentralized. So if people think, total anonymously, no, forget it. Because for each transaction done in a classic way with a wallet on your cell phone or in your computer, there is an IP address connected, the time where the transaction must be asked, what has been asked, etc., and is 100% identifiable. That's why people that claim Bitcoin for anonymity, no, it's crap. I mean, cash transfer anonymously, that's for sure. But they can be the method. In fact, this is also written in the book, how a wallet should be done, how a peer-to-peer network to manage a blockchain should have in terms of APIs, queries that can be done, so that anonymously you can ask the balance of an account to multiple nodes and then see the majority what they say and verify the quality of the information. Is slower for sure, but is decentralized for real. So
of course,
that's the goal, right?
Yep, 100% right. I think like especially in Australia now, the government is still like bringing in regulation, and probably, not probably, even now when we are filing our taxes, if someone says like, oh, I don't own crypto, for example, they will say like, no, you have dealt with crypto. So the government already, because obviously the exchanges, for example, part of their licensings, they had to reveal to the government, that's a KYC or KYT, your transactions type of deal. So I think all of these are getting a lot more regulated, whether we like it or not. So in a place like regulation, what is your take on, whether are you pro-regulatory or no? Are you in the middle? What are the things that you see, to make this more? I'm just thinking like, look, we can stay with the blockchain and keep it like just a few tech people, nerds using it. Or if we had to bring this one to worthwhile to the mass, how would someone like, coming outside, not knowing the blockchain technology and use it with some sort of a guardrail? So what is your take on this?
All right. Regulators are important to defend the people that can be taken advantage of in any way. So that's what the regulator should do. Regulators should be there to protect the consumers. Unfortunately, in many countries, regulators start abusing the consumer more than protecting them, okay? With the excuse of protecting them. So if a regulator is acting deeply in the interest of the consumer, then I welcome it, because there are a lot of people that unfortunately get robbed of their savings just because they are not, savvy enough to understand what's going on,
Yeah.
It's also true that people shouldn't care about the technology that is running what they're doing. They're consumers, so they need to see the effect. Not you get in the car, you turn it on, you press the accelerator, it goes ahead. Who cares how the engine works, right?
Yes, exactly.
So that's as a plus. So there was a kid with his cell phone on Facebook, says, there is internet. Says, no, it's Facebook, it's not internet, so he has no idea that to run Facebook we need to connect to the internet. And it's fine, because at the end of the day he's a consumer, so it's his choice to know more or not. And regulators are necessary because as I was saying, there is a lot of people that get scammed. Now, when regulators create obstacle to technology to exist, then is sad more than else. Sometimes it's by illiteracy of the regulators. Sometimes it's because the process to regulate something is very long. If you think as of today, you need to send a fax to your bank because the fax, it's true. I had a situation in Singapore. Singapore is a super technological country, okay, where the lady had the PDF in her computer. So rather than filling in the PDF in the computer directly, she had to print it, filling it by hand, and submitting it. And then when I have my bank account, in order to be activated, I need to receive an email. But the data entry made a mistake. Rather than Capodieci, which is my family name, they wrote C2Podieci.com. So I couldn't receive the email. I called the bank. They told me to download a 7-page PDF, fill it by hand, and send it to them. Says no. I went, I registered the domain name C2Podieci.com, and I activated the account. So the bank keeps sending me email at the wrong email address that now I own. But that's exactly the point. If they do this, it's not because the bank are so excuse the term, like are not able to create a system where you can enter your data properly. It's because the regulator asks them that the form has to be hand-filled, because in case of fraud, you can recognize by the calligraphy the person. I guess, I don't know, I'm not a regulator and not a lawyer, but and they need to follow those rules. So the bank find themselves to look silly in front of a client because they need to comply with regulatory rules. Now you wonder if regulators are too lazy to update the regulations. In 2024, we still have a fax machine as a tool to communicate because it's the only legal one, or probably they have good reasons. I don't know, but sometimes they leave me wonder.
That's it. So Roberto, now we are getting to the end of the podcast. So I got a couple of other questions that are kind of maybe non-technical in nature. So if say for example, we have quite a few business leaders or people in their C-suite listen to our podcast, and we get asked a few questions, and so if someone's listening to this podcast and it's like, okay, you know what, I have whatever the company or in industry, and they're like, say for example, a founder or a C-suite executive, and they're thinking like, oh, if I have to use, or should I use blockchain in my business, what do you think that, what is the process that they should go about, to find out whether they need a blockchain, not they want, or do they need, is there a real reason why they should use a blockchain in their business? How would they go about this?
Right, that's exactly what we do for work. So when a client comes to us and says, look, I want to apply blockchain, I says, okay, we meet, we have a workshop where we understand first the business model of the client, then we explain what blockchain can do, customized to that business model, and then the client themselves, sometimes they answer their own question without going any further, or we find that there is a very good reason to apply a blockchain. Sometimes there are people that, but now no more, now it's faded out. But at the beginning, the people want to put blockchain just because it's a nice buzzword to add in order to raise more funds or whatever.
Yeah.
Then we can find solutions that are collateral for which blockchain is used, but doesn't make sense to push blockchain at every cost inside the middle of a business logic when there is no reason to do it.
When there's no reason.
Yeah. Other time, I had people coming to me with amazing ideas and very practical ideas that blockchain is the only way that you can achieve those goals. So why not?
Yeah. Good. So if someone wants to get into the blockchain space as a, say for example, as a technology side of things, what are the strategies or tips that you can give someone? Where would they start?
All right. Something that is amazing is annoying, and it happened in the past with Microsoft Visual Basic, for example, or Visual C, is the fact that there are those smart contracts, okay? So most of the people that want to enter into blockchain, they arrive there, they see smart contract, they learn Solidity, and they start making smart contract, and they think that they know exactly how a blockchain works. And the smart contract, if there is a depth in blockchain, a smart contract is here in the consensus layers is here. So probably this fact of coding smart contract create a huge wall on technologies to dive down deep into the technology of blockchain. There are very few people that know how to. If you sit somebody in front of a computer and says build a blockchain, which are the first element to build a blockchain, they don't know. They know how to
Yeah,
make coding Solidity. That's sad.
that's right.
Like in the past when you had to code an application from the
You had to
bottom of
connect
a
everything,
computer, and
database.
now you have Microsoft Access and you think you're a developer.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's my suggestion. Okay, stop and make some money with Solidity, because for sure there is a lot of money to be made there. But just out of curiosity, analyze how things work for real in a blockchain. You will find out that smart contracts are good to do prototyping, are horrible to do production, in my opinion. But people do, so I just take it.
Good. All right. So and one of the things that we ask the podcast is that, is there anything else that we missed out, that that you need to talk about before we go to the closing remarks of the podcast?
Well, I think that we will need another 7 hours to touch all the
Exactly.
important points that we need to touch in this thing. So, I mean, I'm happy to come back again. I'm happy to
100%.
leave it to other guests to talk about the rest, but there is a
No,
lot more to understand.
I think, Robert, I think we should catch up again to talk about a lot more in the technical side of things. I think there's so much that we can talk about, because people even having a listening to this podcast, they'll be still a little bit confused, because we're not talking about their sector, because they can't sort of put themselves in another sector to see how this tech works.
Yeah,
So
audience is an important aspect, because some people is tech savvy and says, well, I wish I knew more. People that
yes,
are not tech savvy, I wish I understood more. So I
correct.
suggest everybody to send the questions, and then we can
Yes,
do another episode prepared with exact the question people have based on what they listen today.
100%. That's exactly what we should do. So before we close the podcast, as a tradition, we always ask all our guests, if there anyone else that they would like to give shout outs to, because I know to get to here in my life, there are quite a few people that helped me. And in your case, who would you give shout outs to in this podcast?
Oh my God, I have to make a list and not to be bad to somebody or not somebody else. So surely my father that brought me into the math and logic, and has been the gift that put me in this direction from the early days. And there are another few people that I really have to say thank you for, but from when I was very little, because I really started at 10 years old, I was selling my video games. So I
Wow.
started very, very young.
Yeah.
There is a person that is a very good friend, is in his 80s now, I think, late 70s, 80s, called Umberto Fano. So I can say shout out to Umberto Fano.
Yeah. Awesome. That's great, Roberto. So is there anyone else that you would like to see, or do you want us to get in touch with, like in your, you recommend anyone else that who we would invite for the podcast?
Vitalik, I don't know.
Like, sometimes, we work with quite a few different experts in the field, and they might not be even directly related to blockchain per se. Like we do go across like tech or business. So because ultimately what we want to do is we want to bring more business owners or founders, or C-suite execs, so that they see the value of technology and business, and almost like they see how they can intersect in these technologies to come out of a solution that answers their challenges. At the moment, a lot of people go around like, how can I build blockchain? I think they're asking the wrong question. So we are always looking at who can we bring in to the podcast that we can add value to founders. So that's the reason why we're asking. But if you don't have anyone else they can think of,
I don't know.
okay, no worries. Roberto, thank you so much for your time, and really love the points that you shared with us today. Now, if we had to send anyone, where would we send them to? In your social, do you have email address or social
Oh,
account?
to contact me, I tell you want to send somebody, will say to Mars with Elon Musk, I guess. No, if you want to send them to me, it's simple. In LinkedIn, my handle is RC10. So the classic linkedin.com/IN/RC10. And
Cool.
short link for my website is rcx.it. IT because I'm Italian, or IT because I work in information
All
technology,
right.
whatever.
Yeah.
rcx.it.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you very much for your time, Roberto. And we'll get this information to our community. And again, thank you very much for your time. And we'll
Thank you for
definitely
having
get
me.
you back on for another podcast or two or more, because it's super enjoyable. And it's there's so much things we're going to talk about, and but we are restricted with the time. So again, thank you so much, and
Thank
speak
you
to
for
you
having me.
soon.